Good afternoon. It's Tuesday night, and you are watching one more show of the Hot Seat. I want to remind you that we do have a couple more shows that I co-host right here on Channel 95, and that is the Amigos. This show is broadcast in Portuguese. My co-host is Linda Pereira. And we have another show called Table Topics. And the table topic is I'm co-hosted by John Sylvia, he's the vice president from the Niagara Neighborhood Association. And Table Topics, we talk about all different issues. If you didn't saw our last show, we talked about the Africa situation there when the parliament approved them taking over some land, possess some lands. I don't know how they're going to divide it, and that's something that John's is going to keep us informed of that issue. But this is the show that we always bring in familiar face, community leader, a community volunteer, a community person that it's out there, that we know the name, we know them, but we probably don't know their personal stuff, what they like and so forth. That's what we're going to learn on this show with a new guest. And my guest this week is Kyle Raleigh. Thank you, Kyle, for accepting this challenge to be here, because nobody knows the questions, and but it's all about you. We know that you are involved in our community. We know that you are already part of government in Fall River as a school committee, I believe, and
city council as well.
And the city council as well. And you are a Fall River face, so people recognizes you when you walk on the street, right?
Sure. I guess so.
So on this show, what we do is we provide our audience with some stuff that they don't know about our guests, or about that familiar face that they
Sure.
talk to. And my first question will be, Kyle, is a name that you will keep it if you had a choice to change it?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. It was a name that was not very popular, and it started to become popular. Just as I got to school, I found out there was 3 other Kyles in my kindergarten class, and I thought it was pretty neat to see other Kyles. But I do love my name. Didn't like my middle name, which is Andrew,
really?
growing up, but now like it quite a bit.
And I don't see Andrew nowhere. So did you just eliminate that, or
No,
you kept it?
Try to keep it short, so just Kyle Raleigh. But I do like the name.
No
now.
middle name?
Not on most things.
You right, left-handed?
I'm right-handed, except when I play golf. Then I'm left-handed.
Oh, really?
Oddly enough, and hit a baseball left-handed.
Had a chance to get a right?
My father was left-handed, taught me how to hit a baseball when I was very young, and I couldn't do it from the other side very well once I learned that way. So I kept my left-handed golf swing, hockey stick swing, and baseball bat swing, but everything else is right-handed.
And I heard that you were a good cook.
I do love to cook, and it works out very well with my wife. We're good partners because she does not like to cook. So if I'm not cooking, it's not happening.
And your favorite dish?
I would absolutely say it's octopus. I'm a big Puvla Guerrera fan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's I like it the regular stew.
The stew.
Yeah, I like it, and I cooked it good too. I love to cook that too.
My mother-in-law is a great cook as well, but she's Portuguese, so I learned all the Portuguese recipes and really enjoy making all of them, from baking to cooking to grilling.
This is our last show for 2018, and we still with Christmas set here. So I have to ask you this question. Do you believe in Santa?
I absolutely do. It was a discussion in my car on the way home today with my 8-year-old. He heard, and I can't believe this, but he heard that from some of his classmates that Santa may not be real this year. And I told him, geez, they must not get any presents. Of course Santa's real.
Yeah.
So he was reassured that he's all set.
And it's funny because the majority of the guests I have here, and I do agree with the majority, we still have a little bit of Santa belief on adults, on the adult world. We still have that touch of believing in Santa.
Yeah, and I think a little believe in Santa, but also believe in good causes for people, getting together, do the right thing. It's something that inspires this time of year to really do what's right for other people.
And I think that's when the adult Santa comes in. Santa, it's not dressed in reds, you know. But it's a Santa. It's not something that we can see it, but we can feel it.
Can feel it. I think for me, it's when my family gets together, which is a good-sized family with 6 children, their girlfriends and boyfriends. My wife's the oldest of 6, her brothers and sisters and their wives and their children. We host everything on every holiday. There's something to that. Having the kids open their presents and having all family come over, and just our unique family. We have almost 40 people, so
wow.
It's a full house all the time.
That's a huge table.
It is a big table, a big couple of tables.
But we always have leftovers, right?
We always have leftovers.
So we have a party for 20, we cook for 100.
You're right.
We have a party for 40, we cooked for 200. It's always like that. It's like a Portuguese thing. It's we always overcooked. Animal lover?
I am. We have a beagle right now. We've had at one time, probably about 10 years ago, we owned a Great Dane and a Newfoundland at the same time. So,
well, that's a lot of work.
Two big dogs that we loved that gave us a lot of joy in the house. But we had a cat, Simba, who we got when our first daughter, who's almost 25 years old, next couple weeks, who lived for over 20 years. And died just a few years ago. But so we've had cats and dogs and fishes and gerbils and you name it in the house. But I think the kids really do appreciate having an animal in the house.
Yeah, it's definitely something that if you like animals, it's something that you really enjoy have them around. Color.
Green. Yeah, the color of go, the color of Irish, the color of money, the color of Christmas, definitely green.
Movies.
Interesting one. I'm more of probably a Braveheart, Rocky kind of guy, kind of fight for the underdog, Remember the Titans, those kind of movies. And so we watch a different array of movies in our house depending who's got the controller in their hands.
If I had to ask you, if I have to make a movie of your life, what title you will give it?
I'd have to go with the same theme, maybe underdog. I was a kid who grew up a pretty typical info of my whole life. Ended up in Section 8 housing due to divorce of my parents, and didn't know what that would look like long term for me. And I knew at the time we were poor, and we had to work hard to make sure that we took care of everything we needed for ourselves. And always had a job, always delivered newspapers to working at pizza places and video stores and Sears, and just trying to get through and realize that not only the hard work but the education that came through it got me to an opportunity to be able to afford to have 6 children and to build a house and really prosper in my community and stay in my community that I love. So underdog.
Sounds like a good title for a good movie. Actor. Any particular one that you like?
I don't have a particular favorite actor or actress. Really, It really ranges. I don't have one
Yeah.
that sticks out to me that's it hits me like I have to watch their movies.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more about the movie itself and more historical movies as well to add to my list.
And you just mentioned Rocky, and Stallone was an actor that just became an actor because of that movie, which was something from his life, a passage from his life. So I think it's when you mention a movie, you kind of mention the act too.
Sure.
For that movie. Do you believe in conspiracies?
Not usually. I think there's some factual data that we need to collect when we're looking at things. I'm more of someone who's a thinker, someone who's a little more methodical, that I'd like to go through the process and see why things happen the way it did. I truly think people are good for the most part, and that we have to give them that credit to be good. So generally not a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Any conspiracy that you remember that you had the question about it? Because today everything is conspiracy, you know. Even 9/11, believe it or not, it's a conspiracy. But even though we lost the buildings, but it's still a conspiracy, you know.
Yeah, I don't feel that way about things. It doesn't strike me that way. Clearly, one of the biggest in time was Kennedy being shot, and who did it and who was behind it. So it's more gathering facts. Now we're in a place or a time that you can get a lot of information very quickly, and as long as it's accurate information. You know, they say it's on the internet, it must be true, which isn't true.
I skipped this one. Nickname. Do you have any?
Not really. Some people call me Riles. Some people call me different things from playing baseball and whatnot, but nothing that really stuck.
Music.
I love everything. I would say probably my favorite artist of all time is Frank Sinatra. But I listen to, we have a speaker in the shower, and if I turn it on, it could be on rap, it could be on, I'm not a big country guy, but it could be on 60s music, it could be on modern stuff, depending what channel's on, and I like it all.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it.
And if it's on Sinatra, it must be My Way, right?
It is. It's on My Way. That's one of the favorites.
Any favorite actor? I believe I already asked you that.
You did, yeah.
If you have to lose a wallet or a phone, what do you prefer?
These days a wallet, and it's a little easier because there's probably a couple of credit cards in there, but no money at all. I'm definitely a debit card kind of guy. I think the phone, there are some irreplaceable things in there. Some of it's pictures of your family and your children. Some other things are definitely phone numbers that you've had from a long time past that you kind of look in your phone every once in a while and say, I should delete that, I haven't seen them, but you kind of hold on to it close to your heart.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to lose that person in your life almost. So I would definitely say the wallet can go.
Oh, yeah. If one of our listeners invites you for breakfast, what is your favorite breakfast?
It's for me, it's supposed to be the best meal of the day. It's my worst meal of the day. I am a black coffee and possibly a grilled English muffin kind of guy. So maybe cerise on the side every once in a while, but I am not a big breakfast guy. Big lunch, big supper. I love to try all sorts of different ethnic foods. It doesn't have to be just Portuguese or Spanish food. It could be anything. I do love to dive into different ethnicities.
Coffee?
Always black, and a lot of it.
Ice cream?
Not a big ice cream guy, but I have this favorite memory of going to Brigham's in Harbor Mall and getting strawberry ice cream, and they had the frozen strawberries right inside the ice cream, and that was my favorite ice cream from being a child.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my childhood.
Name one thing that you will never buy.
That would never buy?
You will never buy.
I guess you take that a lot of different ways.
Okay.
I look at it as you'd never buy someone's friendship, that's for sure, because that's a true thing that sticks with you, and you learn that through loyalty. I would probably never buy although I don't mind flying, I'd never buy a helicopter or a plane to do it myself. I'll let the professionals deal with that. You know?
A job. I know your school, you worked with school, but a job that you really think that you like to have it.
The job that I love the most that I've ever had was being a principal, and I've moved on from there, became a director of special education, assistant superintendent of student services, but I really felt like day in, day out, I really touched the lives of children. I was in an alternative school with special ed students, and I really felt like I made a difference every day. A job I'd like to have in the future is mayor of the city, and so I've started a campaign for that as well.
Very early.
Very early.
I have to say, very early. Pizza or subs?
Oh, pizza all day. That's my...
the Portuguese one?
That's my, any kind of pizza. It's my desert island food. If I was on a desert island, I love lobster, I love prime rib, but if you said I could eat one thing the rest of my life, it would be pizza.
Terrible moment. Do you remember being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you will never forget that moment?
Yeah, and I think, you know, some of them are sad, terrible moments, but I think we learn from those too. I mean, I remember a terrible moment of leaving our house prior to my parents' divorce and getting on a city bus to drive away and say goodbye, you know, to what I had was 2 parents at the time. Finding out that after our 3rd child that my wife had a brain aneurysm. It was a terrible moment, and we had love and success in that too that made us stronger together. So I think there were some terrible moments that were moments, and that's all they were just moments.
Turn around from a bad situation
to an even better one. Yeah.
You turn it around to an even better one.
Yeah.
What did you dream the most?
What I dream about the most? Really now, after having 6 children, about my children. Really about their success and my worry for them in different situations. But I do, either awake or asleep, I think about my children day in and day out.
Family or friends?
Family. And I have some great friends, but my family means everything to me.
Do you talk a lot about dad?
About death?
Dad. So you being dad concerns you?
It's funny, I kid around about it a lot, which is probably a little sadistic, but I kid around about it because it's something that I think lightens the conversation with people. So when unfortunately my father did pass young, and my grandparents, and so I'll say to my kids, well, I won't be around when that happens, and we talk about it in that way, but we kind of all laugh like it's something that we're not worried about, but something that everyone's always concerned about.
And the good thing about, and that's something that I do spend a lot of time with my girls talking about, because believe it or not, it's something as they get older, we get older, and it's something that I don't want them to be lost. I want them to remember our conversations and what I want, so they will not be lost. They will know, I remember Dad told me this, and you wanted this, and you wanted that. That's why I always recommend people to have good conversations about, because it's something that's certain. We don't know if we're gonna make if we're gonna hit the mega box tomorrow.
Right.
But that's something that we are certain to gonna go through, and I didn't want my girls to be lost. So I do spend a lot of time, and when I talk to friends, I always say, you know, don't make it a sad moment, but with a funny way, keep them up to date.
Yep.
Because I see a lot of, and I feel so sorry for a lot of kids sometimes that they get lost. They don't know what to do because they didn't have those conversations.
And we were going through it now. I was fortunate enough, my grandparents had a bakery on the Riley side. It was called Riley's Bakery down on Warren Street, and we lived on the second floor. They retired when I was too young to take over. My uncle and my father had already been in different avenues for business, and so the bakery closed up, and they passed away shortly thereafter. And I thought for all these years that the recipes were gone. We never had those conversations. I get some pictures from them, I get some different things that I cherish, but I do like to cook, and I have a daughter who loves to bake, and I thought, geez, if I could only get my hands on that. Kind of reconnected one of my cousins and found out that her father had the old notebook of all the recipes, and I just got it a few weeks ago. So my daughter tried one of the recipes that was for like 400 brownies and reduced it down. I was able to get it down to a family size, and it came out to a memory for me more than a taste. When she got it right, I could remember my childhood. I could remember stopping in the bakery. I could remember those feelings of kind of joy when they had the bakery.
I don't know if you have an office right now, but just if you could remember one thing that take out of the office, that you remember what that thing that you had in the office that you could just...
Something I would take with me?
Yes.
So I have this plaque on my desk, and it says, "Make excellent mistakes." And I use it in conversation all the time, because I use it with kids, but I use it with adults as well. And it really is, try your hardest, work hard, and do everything you think is right. And at the end of it, if it's wrong, at least you did everything you could to make sure that you helped people, you supported your thoughts, you worked towards a goal. And it still could be wrong, but at least you made an excellent mistake. So I like that term, excellent mistakes.
And it's funny, talking about mistakes, and it's one that we do without knowing that we're doing, a name that you will never put in a kid.
There's a million, I think, but the name is, well, not so much a name, but a title. I think every child can work to their full potential. So I would never, especially in my field for all these years, I would never look at a child and say, you can't do it, or you can't be what you want to be. I know, especially as a special educator, that we have to fight really hard to be fair, that all children get what they need. That doesn't mean one gets the same as someone else. It just needs to be fair. So some children need to get this, and some only need this to succeed. And so what fair is trying to make that balance. So if I need to give more to this child to make sure that they have the same potential as anyone else. So in education, sometimes we indirectly let children know that we think that it's okay that they fail. And I don't think it's okay ever that they fail. And I think that's what my kids see in me too. I don't like to fail, but I want to make sure that they have that get up and go, that they don't fail as well.
Are you afraid of anything?
I would say the only thing I'm afraid of is, go back to my children. Like, I don't want to see them hurt ever. I never want to see them go through some of the pains I went through growing up. But as a thing, not bugs, not heights, not anything like that bothers me at all. I just worry for my kids all the time, and they'll be successful.
And accomplishments. Do you have your one favorite accomplishment?
Yeah, I could answer all these with the same answer, right? It's my children.
Yeah.
We've been so blessed to have 6 healthy children who work hard and love each other, and hope love mom and dad too. That's by far our greatest accomplishment. It's not just having a baby, but making sure that you work hard to instill in them many things, that your values or your virtues. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that over the years. And then the day that you say, okay, you're on your own. My oldest is about to be 25 years old, and she's about to be an attorney and about to be off living her own life. We'll always be there for her, but I hope over these last 25 years we've given her exactly what she needs to start forming her own life, and let mom and dad ease back, and let her make her own mistakes, have her own successes, and certainly have her accomplishments.
One thing that I learned too, Kyle, and having my 2 daughters living there on their own, is they leave the house, but we never leave them.
Right.
And you get worried more when they're out of the house than when they're in the house.
That's a good point.
And you always are it's not one day that I walk into my house and I don't ask my wife that you heard from the girls, because I could not go and lay in bed knowing that I didn't hear from them today. So I don't know. I mean, if we didn't hear everything, it's okay. You know, they're
Right.
working or whatever. They're out with a friend. But I think we got more concerned because it's like we know the ones in the house, they're safe. We keep them safe. But the ones out of the house now, we're more concerned because it's no way that we can keep them safe.
Sure.
And that's I think for parents, I think that's the worst that can happen. I mean, we want them to grow and to do
Right,
their own lives,
right.
but on the other hand, is
I think technology is great in a sense of keeping connected, and sometimes we complain about that. Kids are looking at their phones all the time, but a quick little text to make sure everything's okay is great. Having 3 children in college at the same time, and one in Miami and one in Indianapolis and one here in Massachusetts, that it was that you'd come home once or twice a year from college. Now they come back more, but you can also FaceTime. You can get a feeling like once I see their face, I know they're okay. And so technology helps that piece out a lot.
But yeah, I have to tell you that that day that I shut the door, that my daughter, my first daughter, was out, I think I will never forget for the rest of my life. The feeling that you're closing that door and that's it. You know, it's like it's not the same. You're not going to come home and see them home. You know,
right.
It's a strange feeling.
Sure.
And it's a day that I will never forget. We are pretty much on the end of our show. Kyle, again, I want to thank you. I hope that people out there and our viewers learn a little bit about you, about your life and your family and your kids, and this probably will help them to know you better.
No, thanks for the opportunity. I get out to the community quite a bit and involved in youth soccer and really.
But this is questions they don't ask you.
They don't ask. So this is down to the base of it, and I'm glad to answer them. I'm glad to be on your show.
Very good, Kyle. Thank you again, and good luck on your new adventure. And we promise we will come back next year for one more show of The Hot Seat. Thank you.
Thank you.